This video is going to cover the bottom flap of section number 5 of your Unit 11 flipbook, the bottom flap. Top flap we just did pretty recently, and that is how to find the how to find the length of an arc. This video is going to cover how to find the sector area when I know the central angle measure. So how do I find sector area when I know the central angle measure? Now, the process of doing this class is very much like finding an arc length. The only difference is instead of looking for the measure of this arc, the length of this arc, we want to find the area of this sector, the part inside. So the area of a circle is the measure of the space inside. It's found with the formula area equals pi r squared. That's the whole area. The whole area of a circle. If you want to find the area of one sector, you have to find the whole area first, and then you multiply that by how much of the area you want from that circle. So in our text example here, if the measure of ADB equals x degrees, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and draw a radius. And I'm going to label this A, and the center we'll label D. And then, oh, that's pretty ugly. Let's correct that. The center we'll label as D, and then I've got this point labeled as B. If the measure of angle ADB is x degrees, then we know the measure of arc AB is also x degrees. Remember, the measure of the arc is how many degrees of the total 360 it is. What is the degrees of that arc length out of a total of 360 degrees? And we know that because angle ADB is a central angle. We can find the sector area of sector ADB, which is just this space inside of this piece of the circle, which is called a sector. We can find it with the formula. The total area of the circle multiplied by the fraction of the circle area that we want, which is represented by x degrees, or x divided by the whole circle, which is 360. This fraction is how much of the circle we want. Now this only works, class, if this is a central angle. It has to be a central angle. So I'll write that down, then let's find out how that applies to a word problem. So examples of finding sector area. The beam from a lighthouse reaches a distance of 6 miles, so that's our radius. Okay, 6 miles is the distance from the center of our circle, or from our lighthouse. That's going to be radius. Spell that right. And spreads to an angle of 42 degrees. That is our central angle. What is the area covered by the lighthouse beam? How much area is inside of this space right here? This is the part of our circle. In class, if you had actually drawn the whole circle, you would see that this keeps on going around, and this keeps on going around, and this is actually the center of our circle. All we care about is just this sector. Well, before we can find the area of this sector, we have to know the area of the whole circle. Since area is pi r squared, and we know the radius is 6, this is going to be pi 6 squared. 6 squared is 36. We still have pi there. It's 36 miles, because that's our unit of measure, miles squared. It's miles squared because we're measuring area. Now that's the whole circle. We're going to now take the whole circle. We'll do that in a different color. We're going to take the measure, or the area of the whole circle, and just find the fraction that we want, which is found by taking 42 degrees, which is the degrees of this central angle, and dividing it by the whole circle. So the fraction of the area that we want is 42 divided by 360. Let's put that on our calculator. I'll move that over. We've got 36 pi times parenthesis 42 divided by 360, close parenthesis, and we get 13.19, which is, we round that to 13.2. Now this is still area, it's sector area. What is the area? So this is going to be in miles squared. So this is just the part of the circle area we want, which is inside of this sector. Okay, so there's an example of sector area. Let's see how that applies to this pizza example. This pizza is divided into 8 equal slices. Now I'm going to write this out, class. That means that one slice is 1/8 of the pizza. One piece out of 8 equal pieces. Okay, so the pizza is divided into 8 equal slices and has a diameter of 16 inches. What is the area of one slice? All right, well, we got to be careful here. Diameter is 16 inches, and that means radius is equal to half of that, which is 8 inches. So the radius is 8 inches. All right, before we can find the area of one slice, which is this piece right here, let's say, any of these pieces will do, but let's just pick this one. Before we can find the area of that one slice, we have to find the area of the whole pizza, which is pi r squared, which is pi, the radius is 8, pi 8 squared. 8 squared is 64, so the area is 64 pi inches squared. Now we take the whole area, 64 pi, and we multiply it by how much of the area do we want from that pizza? Well, class, it's one slice out of 8, or 1/8 of a piece. Now you could have taken 360 and divided by 8, and you would have found out what this central angle is. You could do that, but why do that? If I know that the pieces are all equal, that means I want one piece out of 8. So it's a little bit different than the example above, but we could have solved it the same way. Again, I can show here, class, if I take 360 and I divide it by 8, you're going to get, let's do that, 360 divided by 8 equals 45 degrees. Okay, 45 degrees. Well, if I write the fraction 45 over 360, I can actually reduce that. 360 is divisible by 45. So 45 divided by 45 is 1. 360 divided by 45 is 8. Guess what? You got the same fraction. It's 1 out of 8. Let's go ahead and plug that in our calculator to find out how much area is there in this one piece. So I've got 64 pi times parentheses 1 divided by 8, close parentheses, press equal. Our area for the one piece is 25.13. We can leave that as 25.1. So 25.1, and we still have inches squared because we are still measuring the area, but just the area of one slice. So there's the example of how to find a piece of a circle, or a sector of a circle. All right, so hopefully these two videos are helping to remind you, how do you find a piece of the circumference, which is just the length of an arc, and how do you find the piece of an area, or a piece of the area, and that's called a sector. All right, that's the end.